Welcome to Stirring Strength, Perspectives on Mental Health and Addiction. I'm your host, Dean Anderson. And on today's show, we have Mia Krassowski.
Yes, hello everybody, I'm Mia.
It's hard to not look at the camera, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to.
I don't know where to look.
You just look at me.
Okay.
And we just get to have this great conversation,
Okay.
right? So this leads me into introducing you, which is really great. Your first time doing anything like
Yes.
this, sharing some of your own personal story and some of your journey. And that you are a youth, and we're in the youth system, so this is something that's very new.
Yeah.
But you're very eager to share some of the experiences and things that has happened, or some of the things that have happened in the progress of getting to where you are today. And so we had a great conversation last night about what that means to you. So I would be grateful for you to share a little bit about, why you thought it was important to be on the show today.
I think it's important to shine a light on the system and understanding how it can either make or break you, and how much effort and time and work it takes to get out of a system, and learning how to survive as a former Crown ward, what the real world is like. Okay. And also the stigmas and kind of the stereotypes that come along with being what I call a system kid.
Okay.
So yeah.
Those are big topics, and I don't think many people get to talk about them often or really understand what that means, and how it also contributes to some of the other concerns that we have in the city with substance use and people being unhoused. Crown ward. So if I believe it, I'm not sure, but I believe it to mean that you are then a responsibility of the province or Canada.
Yes.
Opposed to having a person who is in charge of your care of a family member or a parent, guardian.
Yep.
Is that correct?
So pretty much it's like being owned by the state.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's different ways you can look at it. Of course, my social location, I'm a Caucasian Canadian citizen, that kind of grants me more access to support, safety, stuff like that. So I understand that my experience may differ from a lot of other people's experiences, but I think it is important because CAS gets a lot of bad rep, and I understand why. There are reasons why. But I was lucky enough to have a good experience. I had good social workers around me. I had good supports around me. And with that being said, I also did a lot of work, a lot of advocacy on my end to get to where I am today.
Okay. We're going to talk about that, and I'm looking forward to talking about your advocacy. So the people at home, CAS is Children's Aid Society,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
What is it? What are the conditions that would make it so that somebody ends up a Crown ward and participating in CS? I know that's a really big question,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that there's probably a couple of things that you can point out off the top of your head.
It's like an onion. There's layers of so many different things. There's things that are understandable and some that are just out of pocket that we could literally fund and help these families rather than take the children away from the families. Yeah. I think that's something that's very important. In my situation, let's say I'm a former delinquent. That's what I call myself.
Okay.
So right when I got into high school, I was bullied a lot in elementary school. So I finally found a group of friends in high school, and we were all the troublesome kids, and all of us, we built a sense of community and family, but it was around substances.
Okay.
So I started going off the deep end a bit, and obviously my mother, she worked long hours and stuff. She was rarely home. I'm not mad at her for anything, but she couldn't handle me, and neither could I. So at some point she just had enough and was like, pack your stuff and get out. Okay. And then from that point forward, I was, I think, 15 and just kind of couch surfing from friends' houses to houses. And my social worker at school got involved, and then I got set up with CAS. And then I had to do 6 months of meetings, signing these papers, meeting these people, learning how to be prim and proper as I'm semi-homeless and abusing substances and just a kid. So I kind of learned how to grow up and work with the system at a very young age. So I think that kind of set me apart maybe, and that's why I've had such a good experience.
Sure. I like you say that CAS, neither good or bad, but there's also parts in there that are, could be better. And then you're saying that you had to go through some experiences of I'm not going to say performing. I can't think of a better word, but the idea of meeting a standard.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that standard? Do you know?
The purpose of the standard is to be taken seriously, to be shown respect as a youth. If I didn't work hard, if I didn't play the role, if I didn't talk in the way I needed to, I wouldn't have the respect from my peers were the social workers. You know what I mean? So I had to earn that respect, earn that trust from them so they could see me as someone valuable and not just like another runaway delinquent.
Okay. So trying to fit into that model. So after going through CAS and at a youth of 15, I think you said something to me about transitioning into YOU, Youth Opportunities Unlimited, I think is the acronym, right?
Yeah. So where I first started experiencing, I guess, homelessness, delinquency, all that was in Alliston, Ontario. I'm not from London.
Okay.
So I finished high school there, somehow got honor roll, and I took that and I applied to Western. So I ended up at Brusha, and I did a year of that. So I was 17 when I came to London. I'm now 24. Did a year of that, dropped out, worked, went back to college. And when I was going to college, I was living with roommates, and those roommates were like, you got a month and we're going to kick you out. And I was also in not a great relationship at the time. So I got connected with my social worker and I got put on the list for Youth Opportunities Unlimited. So I was there from 18 or 19 to 21, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so for people that might not understand what that is, I'd be really grateful if you explain, what it means to participate in YOU, and what it is that they provide. We'd be also happy to, throw YOU on the bottom of the screen to give them a little credit, because they're always looking for shout outs too, right?
Yeah, shout out to YOU. Honestly, I wouldn't be where I am today without the support that I've had in London from the social workers and the, I guess, other outstanding services. So Youth Opportunities Unlimited, they provide care for young mothers now. That's a new building that they have. So they have like housing for them. Then there's stuff for kids, I believe like maybe 14 to like 16-ish. It's like a shared style apartment where they're being monitored, roof over their head, food in their belly, access to, there's like a little job thing. You can get into workshops. They have medical care, counseling. And then I was one of the lucky people who got to live they have these 6 private, beautiful, big apartments. And I was lucky enough to secure one of those. So I lived there for, I think, 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. And what other types of things did you do to participate in that process with YOU? Did you have to do other programming or other things to engage in being a part of that?
There was obviously there was a lot of meetings that I had to do and forms that I had to fill out, and obviously to stay there are rules that you have to abide, like not having people over past a certain time, not using substances in there. You're also kind of being surveilled in a way. They come and check up on you like once or twice a day, kind of see what's going on. Obviously, with the way that I learned how to work the system by showing up prim and proper, knowing how to talk to people, taking my time, asking questions, they started to trust me more. So I wasn't heavily surveilled. So I had a good experience there. They were really helpful. They got me back on track with working and helped me out with some school stuff, got me some furniture, iPad, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Lots of really great things. I can understand the, I don't know, surveilled. I'm trying to think of the word. There's a process to check in and make sure that people are safe and make sure that that especially when dealing with individuals that are high risk. I'm assuming they deal with a lot of high risk, so there'd be checking up and safety checks and those things. But I'm glad that you were able to participate in a way that you feel you didn't need to be watched over so much. Right?
Yeah.
The process then is you stayed till 21, right? Was there a reason why you left? Why didn't you continue to stay?
So when you turn 21, you age out of the system, which means you are now a Crown ward. Okay. So I believe the age limit there, at least when I stayed there, you got to go at 21. So aging out of the system was definitely a process and something I had to adjust to because I was no longer receiving funding from the government to help me sustain like a stable house, life, etc. Okay.
So instability from youth right through, you get some structure from YOU, in those years. And for the people watching at home, I think you said from 17 to 21. When you're at that age, that's like almost a third of your life. When you're getting older, you think that's a long time, but it doesn't seem like a lot when you look at 4 years or 5 years when you're young, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big chunk of your life to participate in that process. So then the 21 is coming, you're 20 years old, and then you're aware that you're going to be aging out, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then what do you do?
Panic. Straight up panic.
Sure.
You're like, oh boy, like, how am I going to do this? Like, rent is insanely expensive, even back then when I was looking for a place. No more, I guess, less support from services around you and stuff because you'll have to find new ones. And I got access to like therapy and counseling, and there was money for that, and I didn't have like benefits or anything. So I was like, what am I going to do?
Okay.
So that was a process.
So the life that you had become accustomed to and the services and the supports were all kind of, I don't know if they've changed it. And I'm glad that you brought it up. I don't know if they've changed that age or how it looks now. I think it's a little bit different now. But at the time, I can see how that would be pretty problematic. So what did you do?
Well, thank God I saved some money before getting out of there because the rent there was relatively cheap compared to anything I've ever paid since. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was going on like actual apartment websites and like going in to talk to the owners and whatever. And then I was like, this is too complicated. They're not taking me seriously. So I started looking on Facebook Marketplace and I found this place. It's not in my budget, but it was the cheapest I could find. And I was one of the first people that viewed the unit. And there was people, like probably 20 people lined up behind me waiting to go in, like proper like families, adults. And I'm just this like 21-year-old kid trying to get an apartment and trying to be taken seriously, or else I'm going to be homeless again in like a couple of months. So I was lucky enough that the people, I like printed out my bill statements from what I paid at YOU. I printed out my credit card check or whatever. I was working, so I got a letter of recommendation and pay stubs. I had like a whole sheet of like contacts and phone, all the things you need to apply to an apartment. I had it all like filed and printed in plastic sheets, hoping that someone would take me seriously. And I was really lucky that the family that used to like own that building, they were like, we're gonna give you a shot, don't mess it up. And now I've been there for almost 4 years. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Did you have any experiences with that, with being rejected from houses prior to that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
not that easy. And people think that
No.
it's just, there's people lined up to get anything that is any low pricing, and then there's a state of rejection. There's things that happen from that process. So glad that happened for you.
Yes. I also looked into, I just remembered now, the geared to income stuff, the wait lists on those types of places. I don't even know how long. It's probably like a 5-10 year wait list to get into one of those units.
Right.
And a lot of those units, unfortunately, the individuals might be struggling with addiction, or there could be more violence or stuff like that. And that's something that I had to work very, very hard to get away from. So I was really excited to get like my first like big girl real apartment. I'm not like attached to like any systems, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we had someone from London Cares on the show a while ago talking about the whole process, and totally see the need for geared to income housing. But often you're right, it's because certain individuals can get into these housing spaces and they're maybe dealing with mental health or addiction or violent backgrounds. So there's a congregation of individuals that are dealing with some of these things. So going into reduced or controlled income housing sometimes can be more dangerous for your mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
Not always, but can often be more detrimental to your mental health and well-being. But I'm glad that you saw that, it's not the direction that you want to go. So finding something different was pretty meaningful. You had said something about having a part of your life where you're unhoused. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so
Comfortable with that?
it's not that I was like completely homeless on the streets. I was also just like a kid in a small town. So it's a little bit different than a youth being homeless in a city like London with access to literally anything and everything you could get your hands on. I'm honestly, like, I think about it all the time. I'm so grateful that I was a delinquent in a small town rather than here, because honestly, God only knows where I would have ended up if I experienced that type of stuff here.
So your experience was, I'm going to assume, some couch surfing and some doing some of that small town bouncing around, but still, I don't think people realize. They go, well, you're inside and warm, but it's still the instability of not knowing where you're going to be tomorrow, where you're going to stay tomorrow is really, for lack of a better word, can be traumatizing, right?
It definitely hits the spot. It's not something that's a good memory, to say the least, but it definitely taught me a lot. And I feel like if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't have the skills, the empathy, the insight, the duality needed to be a great social worker one day. Yeah.
So you're taking the pain of the past and trying to turn it into, you are turning it into a strength now and seeing the value that it has. The reason why I brought up the process of the past of being unhoused is because you had also brought up the idea of, I don't want to be there again, and working towards, where you're working toward now. Any insight or thoughts of why some people would struggle with doing what you did? So you say, I did this and I just, pulled up my pants and I did my thing, but other people just don't get that luxury. And you said there was a little bit of privilege.
Yeah, of
What
course.
else?
Honestly, it's the cold hard truth. These are words that I live by. Get up, shut up, and keep it moving, because the world does not care. You can build a community around you of support that cares about you, but the real world does not care what you're going through. And that's something I learned at a really young age. What's another saying I have? I say good chaos versus bad chaos. I grew up in chaos. I love chaos. I don't know how to function yet without chaos, because all my nervous system and life is chaos. So I've decided at a young age, I woke up out of my sleep one day and I was like, what am I doing with myself? Like, I know I'm worth so much more. And maybe that's what sets me apart, that I knew that I wasn't made for this type of life, that I was made to do good things, to help people, that the things that I went through wasn't just something to go through, it was something to fuel me. Like, everything that I've been through has inspired me to change things. My passion is fueled by anger. I wake up every day and I'm like, what makes you angry today? And that's what keeps me going, because because as someone who has lived experience within the system, I've worked at like 602 Queens Avenue, the hub, so I've seen how homelessness affects other individuals and substance abuse, etc. And then I'm now also in school for social work. Seeing every side of everything can make you feel, I say crazy, because it's just, you're learning so much and seeing different perspectives and how things work differently for different people. And it just drives my passion that I've had since a youth even more. Yeah.
Lots of complexity there,
Yes.
lots of things to look at, different varying angles to see what's happening. Congratulations on the things that you are doing.
Thank
and
you.
We'll certainly talk more about that. I was curious, you said one day you woke up and it was, and something was different and you decided that you're going to go in a different direction. Often in the mental health or addiction world, people assume that there's, bright light opens up from the sky and they just all of a sudden have a different light, or some TV movie thing. But was there something that you would constitute as the catalyst to this change? Did anything happen in your life that made you say, okay, today's different?
Honestly, I guess I had my bright light moment, because I don't know. I don't know what told me that. I don't know what, like, I literally woke up out of my sleep and I was like, I'm too good for this stuff. So I stopped, like, I was in high school, probably grade 10. I stopped hanging out with the people that I hung out with. I wouldn't leave my lunch break. I would just hang out in the library and do homework. So I just started making better choices for myself, because I knew if I didn't do that now, things are only going to get worse. And that's not worth it to me. So I'd rather put in the work to be better and do better, rather than sit in the stuff when you already know it stinks.
Yeah, I was going to say
People like
I was
to
going to say a
marinate.
different word. Yeah, what's that smell?
Who knows? I don't know.
Wasn't me.
I'm trying to keep it PG or whatever.
Awesome. So you now have moved through, found your own place. You're still continuing to, you said you started in Brescia, but now you're going to King's. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So then you're taking social work. I see that you talk about all the complexities of the things that are going on. When did you decide that social work was where you were going for schooling and or career?
So I always knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing at 17.
Sure.
So I was in school for criminology. I was like, okay, this is kind of like what I like, but not it. Then I went to college for flight services because I love to travel, but I was like, not it. So I actually started working as a security pre-boarding screening officer at the airport, which kind of got me into security, all that type of stuff. And then from that point, I got an offer for a job with Canadian Security Solutions, working at like different homeless shelters and stuff. And that's what really, I was like, okay, like I need to become a social worker. Witnessing all the things that people go through, being able to support them during crises and stuff like that. It just like really woke me up. I got to talk to everybody. I would ask them questions all the time about, what do you actually need? Like, what is it? And I would ask them about their lives and what has led them to that point. But obviously you can't learn any of that information if you don't know how to build rapport with someone. And that's a skill that I built at like 15. So I know how to talk to different people. I know how to navigate things. I can kind of I have like an insight to the real world, and then also like the delinquent world, which is still a real world, but the darker side of it.
I understand. I developed the same skills out of survival.
Yeah. Yeah. No choice. What else are you going to do?
Yeah. So those are really important to have. So your experience with Canadian Security Solutions and working within the shelter system were kind of eye-opening, and then you decided that you're going to participate in going back to university and college in the social work field. What's the direction? Where do you see this taking you? Do you have a, you don't have to, but do you have
I have such a plan. And
Yeah.
this is where every day I wake up angry because things are so messed up in this world. I just can't. The more I keep learning, the more I keep realizing that we need people like me working at a policy level. Because if we don't fix it from the top, all the bad stuff's going to keep trickling down. We need to fix the pipes up there so the stuff doesn't leak. You know what I mean? It's going to keep getting worse and worse. Obviously, we might not have enough supports and people and things like frontline workers, but I think we do. We need more people up in the top ranks, changing things. But to do that, we need funding and all these things. We need the government to take us seriously. And at the end of the day, social workers, I don't care what anybody says, social workers are band-aids for the government. We are there to make everything look better. But at the end of the day, the government are the ones who give the social workers the funding. And they don't want to do that. They want people to be broken. They want things to work like this. And that's the hardest part about working in this field, is knowing that the system that I will be working with and for is broken. And often we are not allowed to challenge it.
Isn't that, it's such an irony, because what I know of social work is the teaching of the system and how it is not necessarily in line. But the work of the social worker is to aid in helping the system to regenerate and help itself and the people within it. But at the same time, a system within itself is disconnected. So I can see where that would be frustrating in that concept. And personally working in the mental health and addiction field, I see how those things are stuck. So we've got a couple of minutes left, about a minute and a half left. I would be grateful if you could share any advice or something that you have for, I'm certain that there will be some young lady, maybe your age, 15, 16 years old, who's struggling with some of those same things. If you had some kindness or words of compassion for that person, what would you say?
Kindness and compassion isn't really my thing. I'm more honest and blunt and tell you the truth. If you don't do it, who will? That's it. If you don't do it, who will? Sure. In this life, you have no choice. Tell yourself you have no choice and see how many amazing things you can do. When you silence those parts of your brain that are always like, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, oh, just do it. Just do the right thing. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm harsh, I'm blunt, and that's what's gotten me where I am.
So not to confuse truth with lack of kindness, because that's pretty kind for people to have that conversation with themselves, because it doesn't have to be rigid or hard. So thank you for being on the show, Maya. I truly appreciate you being here. And I know that you're young and new to this, and being vulnerable and sharing these experiences of your life are certainly important and not gone unnoticed. So hopefully some people at home will watch and understand. So thanks again. Thank you for watching Stirring Strength, Perspectives on Mental Health and Addiction, and I'll see you next time.